Pott's Landbier.
And remember, life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Fucking hell, I have nearly just had a Basil 40 moment with a printer. My missus is organising a hen do for one of her mates who's getting married to the old governor of our local pub. And she asked me to print some stuff out, and this fucking printer here nearly had its fucking day because it keeps complaining about paper alignment. I've done the paper alignment. I work in IT, so I'm not a complete fucking idiot. And I've done all that. Then it came back and said, oh, your printer levels, your printer cartridge levels are low. I think fucking HP, I think they're trying to fucking scam people because you have to print paper out to align it. And it must have printed 5 sheets of paper, all using the colour ink. And then it comes back and tells me the fucking colour ink is nearly out. And I've hardly used it. Oh, there was going to be a fucking death in the family, and it would have been that printer, I tell you. I think it come in the same box as that fucking autofocus on this camera. Ran over. I need a fucking beer. And breathe. Right, Pott's Landbier. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I've had this one before, but this is a revisit for this beer. My mate from Germany, Norby, has brought this over for me. This is one of his local beers. It's from Munster in Germany, which if you're an ex-squaddy, you will know quite well. There is an army base there. This is in northern Germany, and that's one of the beers that he reckons is the best from around that region. And I have tasted this before. I'm just trying to think of what the other beer was. That was Hervel's bitter beer. That was really nice as well. But this stuff, this Pott's Landbier, I do remember as being outstanding. And I want to revisit it because I haven't tasted it in almost 2 years. And I want to see what it's going to taste like because from memory, it tastes a bit like a dunkel. But I'm going to have to defer that until I actually taste it. But it looks quite a good one. Now, the Pott's Brewery have been going quite a while, since 1769, which is not bad going. And they are an independent brewer, as far as I know, and they brew using local ingredients. One thing that did impress me on that, they've got their own spring, and it's the oldest primeval. It dates back to the Ice Age. It's the oldest primeval water source or water table in Europe. And the water that comes from there is supposedly crystal clear, free from any pollution and stuff like that, which surprises me because apparently the geology around Munster is quite chalky, very similar to Kent, the water in Kent. I don't know if you've ever been to Kent, but I mean, I thought the water in London was quite hard, but when you come south of the river, there's a big chalk bed in the UK, and obviously if you've seen the White Cliffs of Dover, there's your proof right there. That's all chalky. But the water here is very hard. Kettles don't last long round here, believe me. And if you see what goes on in the bottom of the kettle and the water as well, it has a funny taste to it. Maybe it's why the locals are all so fucking mental around here. Anyway, let's park that bus and get out and walk. One thing they do make mention of is that they don't pasteurise their beer. So I don't know what affects pasteurisation. Obviously they do pasteurisation to make it last longer, but I don't know whether that has an adverse effect on the actual flavour of the beer. A lot of craft brewers do that. They don't pasteurise it, they don't filter it. It obviously has an effect on the shelf life of it. So that could be a reason why a lot of brewers do use pasteurisation, is obviously to make the beer last a little bit longer. To be honest, I've drank beer that's been so out of date, it's not funny. And it didn't taste that bad. I've still got that bottle of Courage. When does this go out of date? Goes around the corner in Skunk Central, fucking tucked me up on this one. This is October 2021. I may do a revisit on 21st of October, if I remember. I may crack this open and see what a Marston's beer that's a year old tastes like. Can't be any fucking worse than it normally is if it's Marston's. Anyway, I've still got the up with that printer. Fucking hell, that nearly had a hammer taken to it. But there you go. Let's get this open. Let's see what's going on. Right, before we get it open, let's just have a quick rundown on what it is. It's a 330ml bottle. It is 4.8%. It's calling it a Landbier. Landbier, in case you didn't know, roughly translates to country beer. The term is quite ambiguous. Lots of breweries in Germany do Landbier. From my research and from what I can gather, there isn't really an English equivalent. It's basically a beer that's drunk by the locals and liked by the locals, and it uses local ingredients. So
this is a local shop for local people. There's nothing for you here.
That is my understanding of Landbier. And from memory, I do remember saying that this was the best Landbier I'd tasted. So I wonder if that still holds good, because I have tasted quite a few Landbiers since that. The Mernschhoff Landbier impressed me quite a bit, but generally they're a little bit hit and miss. The style is a little bit hit and miss in my opinion. But let's just check this out, see what it's saying. It contains Brauwasser, hops, malted barley, malt, and that's it really. Yeah, conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. You know my views. The food pairing is steak, cheese, and wild, whatever that is. Wild, fuck me. What do they eat in Germany that's wild? Everything. Roadkill. Does that mean roadkill? Wild. Who knows? Do they eat roadkill in Germany? I don't know. Let's get it open. Let's see what's going on. Right. That didn't make the plop noise that they make a big thing about. If only they knew what that meant over here. The word plop. Oh, it looks nice core. I can smell it from here. And it smells lovely. Actually reminds me of a good bitter from here. What is it going to taste like though? Oh no. The initial aroma was quite bitter, hop bitterness, but when you get your rooter up next to it, oh, it's just pure malt. Really nice, fruity, sweet malt, caramel malt on there as well. A little touch of toasted caramel notes on there. Oh, it smells gorgeous. It does smell like a Dunkel, a good Bavarian Dunkel. Aromas aren't as big, and I think the aromas from the Weltenberg Baroque Dunkel will take some beating, because they were just absolutely huge. This, not as big, definitely there though, and it smells lovely. It smells really nice. A little hint of spice on there as well, noble hop spice that I'm getting. Oh, it smells lovely. Oh, I can't wait to try this one. Post, as they say in Germany. Or do they? I don't know. Oh, it's lovely. Oh, that finish. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good. Oh, the finish on it. It's just lovely, sweet. That liquid bread with hints of toasted caramel on it. Little hint of hop bitterness, noble hop bitterness on there. Oh, it's so good. And that is cold, it's come out of the fridge. They say the temperature to serve this at is 7 degrees. I'm not sure, it's there or thereabouts. Maybe a little bit colder than that, but I'm still getting loads of flavour on it. Oh, it's lovely. That is superb. That is a fantastic beer. And if you like Dunkel, if you like the Dunkel style, you're going to love this. It's not as sweet as a Bavarian Dunkel. There's a little spicy note to it, but it's not big, but you can detect it. But it's just so good. The malty notes on this are what makes it, and that's the biggest character on this. It's got lovely toasted caramel malt, and the finish is that again, but with some liquid bread thrown in. Oh, it's lovely. That is fantastic. Oh, I'm loving this. And the only bad thing I'll say about this is it comes in a 330ml bottle. I could have quite easily finished off 500ml and it wouldn't have touched the sides. All of a sudden, that fucking printer is a distant memory. Oh, I love this. This is fantastic, and it's as good as I remember it. I do remember it being a little more reminiscent of an English bitter. For some reason, I got it in my head it was going to taste like an alt beer, but it's not. This is lovely. There's some fruity notes on there, some dark fruity notes, some toasted caramel, finishes liquid bread, and some spicy noble hop notes on there as well. Lovely mouthfeel, superb, really drinkable. And as I say, 500ml wouldn't have touched the sides, I should say. I'm going to have to put this down because I just want to drink more and more of that. So what is the verdict on Pott's Landbier? Whoa, that is a fucking really good Landbier. And when I said last time that I think that this was the best Landbier I'd tasted, I think it is. I think that's going to take some beating. It's more reminiscent of a Dunkel, in my opinion. It's not as dark. It's got very dark amber notes on it, if you can see that. So the colouring is different, but it does everything else about it does remind me of a Dunkel, but it's a little bit more than that, and it's really nice. I really like it, and I'm just looking at the bottle, and let me show you the label. It's minimalistic, and that's what I like about these beers. These beers with the minimalistic labels that don't make a big thing about what they're trying to achieve and all that. You know, it's very, I would say, a conservative label, but that's conservative marketing, if you like. There's no bells and whistles on this. There's just fucking good beer inside, and that's what I prefer all day long. You can stick all your fancy advertising campaigns and your fancy labels and your fancy catchphrases that you put with beer. If the beer isn't good, then that all means nothing. And to be honest, this is fantastic. I'm loving this. Oh, it's lovely, and it just gets better and better as it goes down. Oh, fantastic. I am going to give that a big fat 10 out of 10. It's lovely. That's the best Landbier I've tasted by a long chalk, I think. Now, as I say, it's a bit of a hit and miss style. I have tasted Landbier, which from good brewers as well, and they haven't lived up. The Mernschhoff Landbier. Now, Mernschhoff are sort of like a budget. I wouldn't say a budget brewery in Germany, but they do some quite good beers quite cheaply. But out of all of their beers, the Landbier I thought let it down a little bit, and there were a couple of others as well that did some Landbier that wasn't that great. But this is absolutely superb. I'm loving it, and I've got a couple of other Pott's beers in the fridge as well. I've got the Landbier Hell, which will be interesting. I don't know whether it's going to be as good as that, but I'm going to give it a go, definitely. But this for me is 10 out of 10. So far, the best Landbier I've tasted. If you do like your Dunkel beers, you're going to love this. This has got all the characteristics, but it's got a lot of the characteristics of a Dunkel with a little bit extra on top, a little bit of spice, and just supreme drinkability. You can session that. That's 4.8. You can fucking session that all day long. I know I would. I'm gutted. That's the only drawback, is that I think they only do 330ml bottles. So you're going to have to buy a fucking lot of them if you're going to session them. Especially with how drinkable it is. Oh, I love it. That is fantastic. And it's one of my mate Norby's favourite as well, and he's recommended this for me. I don't know how hard this is going to be to get over here in the UK. I know that they did a collaboration with, I think, an American brewer. They came up with some beer, which was unusual because they're quite a small brewer. I mean, they're pretty local to Munster, which is probably why you won't see it over there. But if you're ever in Germany or you're ever in Munster, try this one out. It is fantastic. I'm sure this will be available in the supermarkets and stuff. It's really good. Pott's Landbier, 10 out of 10, recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.